let's talk about Partygate. People have seen the interviews you've given already in the last couple of days, and the theme in the book is similar, which you seem to have rowed back a little bit the extent of your past apologies on Partygate.
No, perhaps let me explain again.
You apologise in the book. You regret the nature of the grovelling apologies. Your quote, and you.
That's it. So the reason
and
for
you
that.
suggest they made you seem more culpable than you were.
That's right.
My question is, do you accept though that people were enormously upset by Partygate?
So yes, of course, and so that's why I apologise and continue to apologise for things that we got wrong. The problem with issuing a great big blanket, and the point I'm making in Unleashed, is that by issuing a great big blanket apology at the get-go, before anybody really knew what had happened or what was true or wasn't true, was that reasonably enough in the public imagination, it looked as though I was accepting every single allegation that was subsequently made. And I wasn't. I didn't mean to do that. And that was very unfortunate and very unfair on a lot of officials who were actually working incredibly hard to do things like the furlough programme, vaccine rollout, and everything else, because some of the stuff, sadly, that was said about them was just not true. And I repeat the point, anybody who thinks that people in Number 10 were setting out to break the rules and have parties, I think is really out of their minds.
You got a fine from the police, 126 other fines of your staff in Downing Street. So clearly there was significant rule breaking. I take it one further in terms of the tone of the sections in the book on this. At times, you seem to mock the public for how closely they followed the rules. You write, the real question, I suppose, is why...
I totally reject that.
Let me read this line.
I totally reject that.
You write, why on earth the public so avidly craved these rules, why they were so willing to have their doings circumscribed in such rabbinical detail. You go on to say the rules for people were...
Sorry, I'm talking about a particular phase in the, and I totally reject what you just said, but I talk about a particular phase during the pandemic when, we had come out, so we'd gone through the first lockdown. We were coming towards the autumn of 2020, and it seemed reasonable as we went into the autumn to try to have a tiered approach and to try to manage the disease by saying to various, geographical areas, you're going into tier 3, you're going into tier 2, and so on. Now, I marvelled at the way in which the public were, at least at first, willing to try to absorb these rules in all their detail. And it was, and I pay tribute to them. The difficulty was that the tiering system was just impossible to make work properly.
What do you mean when you say the real question, I suppose, is why on earth the publicly so avidly craved these rules? I don't think anybody craved these rules, did they?
Well, I think you're wrong. I think that they did, and I think that if you look historically at the way pandemics work.
You were the one that told people you must stay home.
I know. Well,
they didn't want these rules.
But
the people
I can assure you,
were like a kind of religion. They followed the rules, detailed rituals. They obeyed Leviticus-like in the hope of salvation. It does sound like you have some disdain for the people that followed the rules to the letter.
Well, there's your words. Okay, there's your words, and I totally reject that. But if you look at the way people historically have responded to pandemics, and I remember Chris Whitty talking to me about this right at the beginning. People want government to come in and lay down the law.
Given that, and given how you're framing what some people wanted more than others, and how they then followed the rules, 126 fines in Downing Street, with some coverage suggesting you're withdrawing an apology for it. Here and now, clarify if you are sorry to those people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But I was just trying to make a point about my officials, what they were doing, I say in Unleashed, I try to explain that I made many mistakes in the handling of that story, and what became, quite a running story. And there were things I should have done. I appointed Sue Gray, who then turned out to be the Chief of Staff, the leader of the Labour Party.
When you saw that she lost her job yesterday?
R.I.P.
Is there a wry smile on your face?
No, look, I think what I would say is that at the time that I asked her to do that particular job, she was presented to me as a model of political impartiality and probity. And, I'm not certain about either of those things now.